have you guys returned to training yet? And what's been the plan for this break so far?
Yeah, we're full into training, Jeremiah. I know it's getting close to you guys getting back out here watching training, but we've been at it pretty good. I did give him 6 days off, but then we came back and we've been training all this week. I'll give him Monday off and then a 4-day lead into the LA Galaxy game. But it's been good. I mean, the challenges as a coaching staff and what we tried to work on, Jeremiah, I can talk about that a little bit. So when you don't have a full squad, what do you do? What do you work on? Well, you try and make guys better individually, make their, better defending, better attacking, some technical things. So we've done a bunch of that in training. And then the secondary kind of blessing, bonus, whatever you want to call it, is, again, we're bringing in some young kids in to help us fill in numbers. So I got to see a 15-year-old today, another 16-year-old today from the academy team out training with us, which is really, helpful for me.
Hey, Coach, Nico here. Wanted to ask you, Raúl Ruidíaz doesn't get a call-up for Copa America. How surprised were you, and obviously excited that he's coming back? And do you have a date that he'll be returning to the team?
Well, look, he made a substitute appearance in the first game, didn't play the second game. I was surprised, Nico. I was surprised because Raul's been in a really good run of form. I mean, he's scoring goals. So, that was surprising. But, I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. And I think it's going to be good for us. And he should be available for that LA Galaxy game.
Hey, Brian. I know that Nuhu and Xavier are also away on international duty. How do you think that they performed?
Well, they were okay. I mean, Ecuador is in a they tough game against Brazil, and another game against Raul's Peru. But I mean, they've got tough games coming up with the tournament. Javi's done okay. He seems to be a pretty solid starter in that group. Nuhu, I don't know if you checked that. I mean, he played in the second game, yes, as a left back, but he seems to be enjoying himself around Niagara Falls these days. So, I mean, he's not playing anymore. He's sightseeing. So he's on his way back. He's traveling back, and we'll have him back in training soon.
Hey, Brian, how much does the club keep in contact with players that are, with their international teams? And then what's the re-entry when they come back from their international duty?
Well, we do keep tabs on them. I'll shoot guys a text after a game, or, it's more the medical staff coordinating with the other medical staffs of the, respective national teams. Gonzo has a good rapport, maybe even a better rapport than Nico Moreno has with some of our players. So Gonzo always checks in with the guys. Jimmy will, take care of Nuhu. So we'll keep tabs on them. There is no real reentry process anymore because everybody's been vaccinated. They'll have to come back and do some testing. But we'll welcome back with open arms, Maz.
But one more. How much of a break did you and the coaching staff have?
Same as the players.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Brian, you have this background, and I feel like we would be remiss to not ask you about this doubleheader. What was your thoughts on that? And I mean, as a fan of Seattle sports and Seattle soccer in particular, how big of a deal is it for you to be participating in something like this?
I put it up there on purpose, Jeremiah. I actually should do a better job of, going to more rain games. I think that women's soccer is growing in leaps and bounds. All the hubbubaloo with the women's national team. I support them for equal pay. It's an up and coming sport, and whatever we can do to help, to support them, we should do that. It's for soccer fans, for, people that want to see good soccer, people that want to see a rivalry. I mean, here you go. We've got a double helping of, the best rivalry in North American soccer sports, whatever you want to call it, between Portland and Seattle. So I'm pretty fired up about it. And, I'm looking for 6 points that day from the right teams.
Hey, Coach, I was wondering your thoughts and reaction on that US-Mexico game the other night. Maybe what was going through your mind in that crazy sequence at the end there when, Christian converts the penalty and then Horvath saved the penalty. And then maybe just your thoughts overall on where the program is at right now. It seems like with these young guys coming up like Pulisic and Weston and Tyler Adams and Gio and all them, it seems like there's like a kind of different kind of buzz around the program right now than maybe there's been in a while. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. Looks like you haven't come out of your apartment since that game though, Ari. I mean, you're a little rough there. I mean, geez, you get your vaccination, you can get out in the public again. I really, truly enjoyed that game, Ari. That was an exciting game for many different reasons. For those of us, Ari, that have been around for a long time, CONCACAF has its quirks. The story of the game, how it played out, the program, the US program. I mean, I could talk for an hour about that game in particular. I know a bunch of people were watching it. The TV numbers were off the charts, but in no particular order, I'll just give you my 30-second version. Number one, Greg's doing a great job. Number two, we've got some good young talent coming through the pipeline. Number three, that's a big rivalry. Portland, Seattle is a big rivalry from a league perspective, but USA, Mexico is, just such a massive rivalry. I don't like the chants. I'm glad the referee stopped the game. I thought it was, in poor taste, but we've had to deal with that with throwing objects. It's kind of karma that one of their guys got hit in the head with a projectile. I loved Clint Dempsey's commentary that he wasn't going to run in the corner flag when the other announcer scored the goal. Clint's too smart for that. I loved Tata trying to put his arm around. Only in CONCACAF would you put the VAR thing right between the benches. And Tata is such a nice guy. He just wanted to, see what the referee was looking at. I mean, that was such good TV. The outcome of the penalties, the game, how that all shook out, Greg going to a, system that we play in some respects. I was hopeful DeAndre was going to get higher up the field and Dent's higher up the field. But, I asked Christian, do you think it was a penalty for the United States? And Christian was kind of non-committal. I thought it was a little soft. I mean, was Pulisic going to get the ball? I don't know. I don't think so. The Mexican PK, the handball, yeah, his arm was in a natural position, but that ball scoots by him. It's on goal or it goes to someone else. I mean, I thought their penalty might have been a little bit more warranted than the US penalty. I mean, I can go on, Ari. I mean, it was a great game. I mean, it was good entertainment, great way to spend, 2.5 hours on a Sunday. I loved it.
Coach, how are you, Coach? Thank you for your support with your in the background on the women's soccer. And I wanted to ask you if anything that we're going to see different in your tactics since the last two games with the formations 5-5-3-2 resulted in 2 draws.
Well, it's 3-4-2-1 or 4-3-1-2. we always try and get our outside backs involved and higher up the field. Unfortunately, Alonso, sometimes during games that just doesn't happen. Your opponent does things, or, you know, you're just having an off day. I wouldn't say we're going to shift tactics. What we're going to do is try and just be a little bit better in our possession. That's number one, because we didn't have enough possession, certainly against Atlanta. But then Austin, the possession was a little better, but we still need to have that possession in the attacking half of the field. And then just be a little bit cleaner, because I think the movements were still good. You know, I can show you the film of, you know, Freddie Montero from 10 yards inside of our half, getting a ball into Brad Smith, who was clearly faster than his opponent. And Raul is in the middle of the goal, and Brad passes it behind him. And that's not a tactical, you know, mistake. That's a technical mistake. So a lot of the work that we are looking at is to try and use this little downtime to work on the players' individual technical abilities to make sure that when they're in those moments that they can complete the plays, that they can make the plays to help us score goals.
Coach, one more question. I mean, you just mentioned about the USA team, great team, but also Sounders has been proven that they're one of the best teams in the MLS for many years. And you have any conversation with a US coach, like in consideration that some Sounders players could be in the national team?
Thank you for saying we've been a good team, Alonso. Thank you for that compliment. I have spoken to Greg Berhalter on a couple of different occasions about our players, about Jordan and Christian. He does a really good job. This is Greg. He does a really good job of reaching out and talking to MLS coaches about their players and, you know, what he's thinking and, you know, some of those details. So he's done a good job. The US Soccer in that respect has done a good job with reaching out, at least to us, about some of our players.
Along those lines, Brian, have you gotten any indication as to where Christian might be in the picture for the Gold Cup?
Nope. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, Jeremiah. I mean, we get Raul back, but then you lose Christian and, you know, all that sort of stuff. I mean, look, I'd love it. I'd love it if Christian got an invite. Certainly would put a big hole in the middle of our field or in the middle of our team. But, you know, I think Christian is good enough to play with the national team. You know, obviously it is a very, you know, talented group of midfielders that the U.S. currently has. So that's not an easy task to break into that group. But you never know. I mean, you just never know with things.
Hey, Brian, I was wondering with Arriaga staying for Copa America, how have you seen Sissoko coming along, and, you know, how likely is it that he gets a little bit of playtime?
Good. Thanks for that question, Nico. He's done well. You know, he had a game with Defiance when they went to Las Vegas. He's going to play with Defiance against Phoenix this weekend. And, you know, he's done okay. He's interesting. He's intriguing. You know, he's a good passer of the ball. He finds a lot of passes that, you know, that maybe some of the other center backs don't have. I don't know if he was a midfielder in his younger or forward in his younger days, but he's very good at that. But then if you watch one of the goals that, you know, Las Vegas took or scored against Defiance, you know, is that long ball over the top, and can he, you know, physically, you know, be good enough? Does he have to make sure his defending is a little deeper so balls don't get in behind? Can he deal with quicker forwards? I told you guys the reason why we signed him was because, you know, him and Will Bruin had such a good battle in preseason. So he can mark big, strong target forwards, but where he needs to improve is, you know, if he's playing against a guy like Raul, even though it's just training, I mean, can he stay with a shorter, smaller, faster, quicker forward? That's going to be his challenge.
Hey, Brian, I'll take you up on the film session whenever you get a chance. Once we're vaccinated, it'd be great for you to do a coaching session with us. But on a serious note, when you said that the players need to be cleaner in the middle, is that they have to pass the ball quicker? Is it a pace thing or is it a recognition thing?
I think it's all of that, Maz. Look, we always want them to, the ball always has to move fast. You know, they're good enough technically to play the ball fast, which gives the guy who's receiving the ball more time and space on the ball. But it's basically just the little nuances of some of the things that we like to do. I'll give you one example. So we like to play what we call the ball into the pockets. You know, Christian plays well there. Nico plays well there. Raul in the weak side space. You saw Freddie Montero do that. It's body position. It's where the pass is received, which foot, you know, facing forward. You know, it's the pace of the pass. There's all sorts of little things that go into what you would think is a simple, okay, just pass the ball from me to you. I actually need to know if the defender is on your left shoulder or your right shoulder. I need to make a conscious choice to maybe push you in the right direction that I want you to go because maybe I see the field ahead of you. Maybe I play it to the short side just because I know you're just a bumper to play it from here to there. So there's all sorts of little nuances that come with just a simple pass, but we got to work on all of that. You know, all of that can improve.
Thank you.
Brian, the young players this year, the homegrowns, have played 359 minutes. That's almost half of all the minutes in your matches so far. What does it say about yourself and the coaching staff that you're able to put those guys in there, have confidence that they're going to do the job?
John, are you talking about our young guys this year or with Defiance?
This year.
So you're talking about Atencio playing.
Yeah.
Danny Leyva getting some minutes.
Yeah.
You're talking about that statistic.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to put players on that deserve to be on the field, whether they're young or old or big or small or, you know, fast or slow. The guys that deserve to play and can help the team win, they're going to play. I think the entire youth development program is another topic that I could spend hours talking about, but I'll give you my 30 seconds worth. You know, we've come leaps and bounds over the last year. You know, COVID in some ways was certainly a bad thing for some players, but it worked for Josh Atencio because we had to make a decision. Which bubble is he going to be in? Is he going to be the first team bubble or the Defiance bubble? Well, he was with the first team bubble, and I think you guys see the fruits of that labor. I think other players, you know, Danny had an injury, you know, a bunch of injuries last year, but Ethan, it probably made more sense for Ethan Double Air to, you know, go down to Defiance and play more games. And so it's kind of, we take each on a case-by-case basis, but I think we're getting a process in place that works, that's flexible. It's not always just one way with each player. And, you know, I think at some point down the line, the kids are going to get to a point where it makes my job very difficult that they're going to play. And they might beat out some veteran guys, or it might be a 25, 27-year-old player. And here is a 16 or 17-year-old player playing because he's better.
Hey, Coach, speaking of Atencio, could you give us an injury update on him? Obviously, you decided to keep him out as a precautionary measure. What's his status looking like for the Galaxy? Yeah,
Galaxy might be a push just because that quad injury is a tricky one. If he makes it, look, he's a tough kid. If he makes it, he makes it, but it might be a push. Then it'd be RSL. I mean, he's getting close. But I don't need him to, you know, part of that position, the demands of that position is to take a ball from a deeper position and hit a long switching ball. And that's probably the worst thing for your quad. So that's kind of the last hurdle for Josh. He's running around the field. He looks good when he runs, but, you know, we got to be careful there.
So, Coach, going back to the USA-Mexico game, one of the things that you said is that you have the team has a really good young talent, which I agree with you. But most of the players in the national team are players that are in Europe. How does that relate with the players from the local league, from the MLS? Is it more important to be at the top of the CONCACAF or enhance the players that are playing the MLS league?
I think that was just logistics, Alfonso. I think it was just, look, the European season was winding down. It was finished. Those players were available. And the MLS players, look, they had a couple of, they had Leggett and a couple of MLS guys. But that's Greg's decision. And, you know, there were a lot of players available that just come free in Europe. And maybe he didn't want to disrupt the MLS anymore because he knows Gold Cup is going to disrupt some of those players. So that's a decision that he has to make. So, you know, those are hard decisions for Greg Berhalter because there are a lot of talented players both in Europe and in MLS.
Thank you.
Coach, is there any update on Nicolas Sodero, how he's doing? Have you talked to him at all?
He comes into treatment every day. So he's doing fine. He's on schedule for his, his procedure. You know, I'll just give you the update. I mean, Steph, you know, again, that's a longer term, a little bit more serious one. I mean, we're talking about July, August. Nico, you know, that's the repair to the cartilage, you know, that's going to take a while. Delam with his ACL, obviously the surgery was successful, but we ruled him out. Jordan Morris started jogging on an Alter G machine, and Atencio we talked about, but all the guys come in every day. I think it's important, Nico, for their well-being, their mental well-being. They come in and they, you know, get to talk to the guys talk to them. They're all down there watching, you know, UEFA European Championship games and stuff like that. So, you know, it's good for them to keep connected to the team.
You have any other final questions for Coach Schmetzer?
Do you have any more of a time? I know you didn't really have a timeline when you told us about the surgery, but do you have any better sense of a timeline for Nico at this point?
No. Again, Jeremiah, look, the good start allowed us to be a little bit more, you know, conservative. That injury is just going to heal when it heals. That inflammation of the knee, the little bit of cleanup in the meniscus. I mean, those things I can't really, I could tell you, okay, it's a 3 to 4 week, you know, recovery process, but that might be a little light, might be a little long. I mean, who knows? I mean, just the nature of that repair, and just because the inflammation, they couldn't get on top of it earlier. I don't want to say something now and then, you know, it doesn't come to pass. We're just going to take it, you know, to make sure that Nico's long-term recovery is the priority.